Good evening. Today is April the 15th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 7:30. Would you please stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Lord, we are meeting here to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. This will be Vince.
Nope.
No. Okay.
Reed,
Present.
Mathis,
Here.
Krug is present, Lorraine is absent, Kessler,
Here.
Gopel,
Here.
Tucker.
Present.
You have 6 members present.
Okay. To the people in the audience, this program is televised 3 corners, and you'll see cameras. It will be on Charter Communication channel number 191. When you want to come up and speak, you can come up and speak, give your name, do not have to give your address. You will see it for the next 2 weeks. You will see it on, like I said, channel 191. We can't tell you exactly what days, but it'll start, I believe it's this Wednesday, and it's 3 times during a day. So you've got to oversee the basketball games or whatever, or baseball games. But I happened to watch our last meeting yesterday. I just clicked it on 191, and it was very informative, very, very informative. And so when you come up, the only thing I ask is please speak loud enough, because the people in the back cannot hear because the room is so large. Okay, approval of tonight's agenda. Are there any requests to amend tonight's agenda?
Do we need to add
Yeah,
the firefighters want to talk?
yes. We have matters of discipline involving a couple firemen, and that should be placed on the agenda. When we get to that, those individuals have a right to request a closed session.
Okay.
So, okay. Do we limit the time?
No?
No? Okay then. All right. Are there any other issues? A motion is in order to approve the agenda as amended for a closed session for
Well, it's up to them if they want a closed session. We
Oh.
just have to address the matter of discipline.
Discipline.
certain Fire.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll move the motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Any?
Don't really need a motion, do we?
To approve the agenda.
Yeah, to
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
I'm changing my agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Presentation. There's a gentleman in our right here, he's walking to the podium. I know you all know him, he's been around the Fenton area and Linden area for many years. His name is Ed Colito.
You got it.
Okay, I said it too slow. Ed Colito, there. And Ed is going to give us information in regards to the pathway for Southern Lakes.
Thank you, Bonnie, and thank you for the whole board for allowing us to come. Really what this is about tonight, we've got this double-sided handout. It's about information about the pathways and what's going on. There's a vote coming up for a millage on May 7th. My group that I represent and am chairperson of is called the Southern Lakes Pathways Initiative, and what we're about is the advertising part of the Southern Lakes Parks and Recreations millage that's coming up, and I'll explain all that in a little bit. So we've got this handout here. We're on Facebook. If you look up Yes for Pathways, we also have a website, yesforpathways.com. It's got this information, a lot more FAQs. Also, it's got something you can sign in if you have individual questions that you want to add to those FAQs or want to find out, and we'll get back to you usually within a few days. So Southern Lakes Parks and Rec is really been working on a pathway along Silver Lake Road. Argentine Township, and you guys have already worked on a pathway from Argentine cutting through Fenton Township into Linden. And so there was another extension down Silver Lake all the way to Jennings Road that's already being worked on. But through this work, Southern Lakes Parks and Rec began to develop the concept that if we could get all of this done quickly and effectively, it would benefit our community much better. And so what they did with Fenton Township, City of Fenton, and City of Linden is put out for a millage coming up on May 7th for 1.2 mills over a 10-year period. That first year should generate around 1.2 to 1.4 million. Overall, it should be around 14 or 15 million. You're not sure of how that turns out after 10 years. But what this would do would be allow the process to begin. The engineering process has really already started on that Silver Lake pathway, and that probably could start construction in the fall of 2020 if the millage were to pass. There's two other corridors that this also includes. One is along Owen Road from Linden Road east until basically Walmart. We're not sure because the engineering hasn't been done yet what side of the road that would be on. And then a third corridor would be going up Fenton Road from Fenton to Thompson Road and then over to the dog park. So these three corridors are really what they're trying to get done in an effective manner so that costs are reduced. It's not done piecemeal over the years, and we can start enjoying some of these pathways right off the bat. As well, it sets us up good for state and federal grants for pathways, not only the interconnectivity, but also to have those matching funds. Sometimes it's a real challenge with a group that might be able to get a grant, but without matching funds, you can't. We know taxes are never good, and this is about $10 a month if you have a $200,000 market or a $100,000 SEV house. So that's what it would cost you over those 10 years. We look at this as taxes well spent in Genesee County because it's going to be spent in our area of the county, and it's going to be something we can actually see that's completed and actually physically use. It's about health benefits, it's about getting our seniors and our kids out and active. It's really about a safe place to go exercise as well, because as you all know, if you've ever tried to do something, even on a dirt road, jogging or riding your bike, it's pretty dangerous if someone crests a hill at 55 because they put down the sodium chloride and it's like a freeway now before the bumps start on some of our dirt roads. The backside on the map shows many of the other plans, and interconnectivity is really a big part of this too. You know, like one example would be the Thompson Road overpass. Right now, that's pretty much an overstressed overpass for all the industrial use that it's getting. So I'm sure it's on the blocks for the state to be improved at some point. If you have pathways in the area, a lot of times pathways will be included on the plan to redo an overpass. And certainly if they're not, the expense to get pathway put on a remodeling job for an overpass, it's a lot less if all the engineering, all the aggregate, all the equipment, and all the workers are already there to add a pathway than it would be to try to do it on our own if we were doing it piecemeal. So there's many benefits, and that's what Southern Lakes Parks and Rec saw, and that's why they're trying for the millage. We're getting out right now to the different municipalities, the school boards, parent-teacher organizations, different civic groups, and neighborhood associations, trying to get the word out. And again, the card I left with Tom, it doesn't say vote yes, it's just information. Obviously, my group is about vote yes, but when we come to the municipalities and the school districts, we're just trying to get information out and answer questions. If you have any, I'd be more than willing to answer.
Are there any questions from any of you board members?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious, now you said there's a pathway being constructed now from Fenton Township through Linden, Fenton Township into Argentine?
There's one right now from Argentine, past Linden High School, through some Fenton Township property and right up into the city of Linden sidewalk. That Argentine and has really been the one really kicking that thing and making it move. You guys, I know, had some involvement with that as well because it does go through a piece of Fenton Township. That one's all set with the grant funding and all that. Additional work has started, but everything hasn't been done. Southern Lakes Parks and Rec is working on the pathway from Triangle Park, which is just east of Linden, where the road straightens back out and heads east, all the way down to Jennings. That's not fully funded yet, but they've got enough grant money along the way. Municipalities, I think you guys have kicked in a little bit of money as well with LAF to match funds for a state grant. And I know the engineering for that is just about done. We know the pathway will be on the south side of the road, and most of the easements, I think, are already taken care of for that part of the pathway.
This is not the sidewalks.
Correct. It's a 10-foot wide asphalt pathway that will support an ambulance. It's ADA compliant.
Okay, very good, thank you.
All right, now you said Silver Lake Road
Yes.
and South Side.
Yes.
Well, what about the area where the lakes are that they meet?
Holy cow. So that's part of the expense. So I don't know if you've ever seen like that chicken wire with giant boulders in it. It's called riprap. And
Yeah.
they'll put that along, and then they can build up from there. So they'll have that wooden kind of, I don't know what they call it, but it's like a wooden pathway you see in a lot of
That would
areas.
be like a boardwalk.
Boardwalk,
Boardwalk.
thank you.
Is
Okay.
that like the one going down Linden, south of town? Or just
It's-
by the?
Yeah, by the school.
That looks like I built it.
Well,
This
well,
would,
it's been there
again,
for a while, but is that kind of the same concept by the water tower there?
similar, only much more heavy duty. Again, it's got to be built to support an ambulance.
Okay.
I got someone.
Mr. Krug.
I will apologize, Dad, before I make my comments, because you and I are too good of friends. I wish somebody else was standing there. Give you a history lesson. When I was on Southern Lakes Park and Rec a few years ago, more than a few, this idea come to us, and they were telling us what a great thing it would be. And they had the Laugh was the name of the group. And at that time, it stood for Linden, Argentine, and Fenton. And I went through several presentations and said, I got a question for you. And I said, what about Fenton Township? Because if this millage passes, the people in Fenton Township, based on the rules for Southern Lakes, will pay about 63.7% of all the expenses. I won't name the individual who was there, and he said, well, you gotta support stuff. Not if it doesn't benefit my people. So they went to do some figuring, and they come back and gave me their new name, and they symbolized it as laugh. And it did make me laugh, because after I complained, they put another F at the end of the name for Fenton Township. So laugh, in my mind, was probably the appropriate thing. And the other question is, if I remember right, my 22-month-old granddaughter will be in high school before any of this comes into Fenton Township proper, other than about 300 yards that they have to cross on Silver Lake Road. And the other concern is Argentine told us being Fenton, Linden, and Fenton Township, they wanted no part with Southern Lakes. But yet, they're one of the major players here. And I just, for the life of me, look at it that why would we being the township people, want to support this for 8 to 10 years before anything happens. And the funny thing was, this board, Fenton board and Linden board, really helped this, because originally after they realized they had to add another F, they ran that temporary leg up Fenton Road, and they actually thanked us for building the dog park so they could use that as a designated designation.
Destination.
I mean, it seems like it would be much more beneficial to run this trail, not to help the commerce in the cities, but to connect the school districts and make it a bike or safe pathway for the kids and stuff. Now, maybe I'm all wet, and I'm sure there's people who tell me that. But I have a concern that when Fenton Township's paying the lion's share plus, we're getting the kitten share back. And I could beat this dead horse, so there's no reason to keep it going, but, I mean, it just frustrating when I know my constituents are gonna pay, like I said, it's 63.7 of the millage for this will come from Fenton Township.
The only thing I could argue with you on, Bob, would be the timeline. I don't think we're going to be waiting 8 to 10 years to see any kind of construction other than that little piece of Silver Lake Road in Fenton Township. So I think that might be a little bit off. And the rest, the history that you brought up, there's no way I could bring any pieces to bear on
And
that.
that's why I said I wished you weren't the one standing there. Because regardless of how it goes, I want to be friends when it's all done and gone. And if I'm here in 10 years, I'll call you.
I'll ride my bike on the path out to your house.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Yes. Kim, would you like to stand up?
Speak from here.
Yeah, you go over there so we have it on the tape, please.
I think, Kim Verkler is my name, and I am involved with the LAC group. I think if you look at the placard here, the money that they're talking about, I believe, with the dotted orange line, that is where the money is going to be used, at least initially. And I think the plan was if the millage goes through, they would be able to sell bonds, have the money up front, and be able to put those on. So if you look at that, the Owen Road piece, basically from Walmart over to Linden Road, and then going up Fenton Road from the city limits basically up to Thompson Road. Those, I believe, are both Fenton Township. And then a little bit, and I don't know, Bob, for sure, how much of that area on Silver Lake Road is in Fenton Township.
310 yards.
310 yards, okay.
I walked it with Southern Lakes.
Okay. But I believe the other two parts, am I wrong? Those are in Fenton Township, is that correct or not?
Well, the Fenton Road one is, yes.
Yeah, Owen Road
But
is not?
Owen Road? Yeah. No.
Yeah, but there's no residence there. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you
Okay.
about it.
I just wanted to point out the fact that
Tell
I
you what
think
I'll do for you. I'll pay double if you convince my 94-year-old father-in-law that he should pay this tax.
I'm good, but I'm not that good. Thank you.
All right, Mr.
Thanks.
You know, I hate to talk now because eventually you have to approve my plan.
I'll make a note of that, don't worry.
Thanks. Mustafa Giriani, although I am not a Fenton Township resident, however, I do a lot of business in Fenton Township. And my experience, looking at the west side of the state, okay, looking at other places, or in Florida, if you travel, you see bicycle paths everywhere. And I think it will have a direct impact on the property values. I wish if someday we have them, not just in the main roads, but we have them in the side roads like what they have in Holland, Michigan, and Grand Haven, and all these little towns all along that shore is all connected. And not just one line, it's coming from every side road. And I think that attributes to the value of the property and say a lot about the people who live in that area. They're progressive, they want to get their towns moving. We could see that the city of Fenton today is prospering, okay, just from a few little restaurants and little activities that have taken place, and the value of the property just shot up. And as a businessman working in this township, it's always difficult to sell our houses where we have the same house exactly, and they will get $200 per square foot, 5 miles, 10 miles south of us. Okay, because they offer some other things, so maybe closer to other industries, which they offer jobs. But I think a community, if it offers those kind of amenities, is gonna impact the value of the properties, and I think will prosper, and I think the township will get a lot of money out of it in taxes, okay? However, money has to be spent up front, and I would not regret paying the tax that having a property in Fenton Township for such a cost. And I didn't even know they're gonna talk about this today, so, all right?
That's all right.
Thank
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that'd like to speak? I will say something. I did go along with Bob Krug for a long time. I did. And then one day I came down Torrey Road and I made a right-hand turn onto Laring. And right before the bridge, 7 students was running in the road. There had been no place for those students to jump off, get in a ditch, or whatever. And that's what really swayed me. And I do, I have 7 grandchildren. And the fear of the children is we have all our track. If you drive through the township, you see these students running very early. I live on Torrey Road, and they're just on that yellow line. There's no protection. We need to move it over. But now you're saying south side of Silver Lake Road. What are we going to do, Ed? Has anybody talked about the sewer line that is running? I mean, our sewer line just doesn't go down the south side of Silver Lake Road. I mean, it crosses, depends on, where it's going. But what are we going to do? And if we have to do moving, where does that expense come out of?
Well,
The engineering firm that, whatever group, whether it's LAF or Argentine Township that's worked on that piece, or Southern Lakes Parks and Rec that's working on the current pieces, the engineering group figures that out. My understanding of if we do go over a right-of-way with utilities, you try to avoid that because of what you just said, having to dig it up, but they don't have any responsibility to put that pathway back in. So that's going to have to be something that's figured in to what Southern Lakes Parks and Rec has as far as in their fund for pathway maintenance.
Okay, thank you. Any of the board members, any other questions? No? Anyone in the audience? Okay, Ed,
Thank you very much.
You did a beautiful presentation. All right, so the next one will be included in the
thanks,
packet.
Ed.
Included in the packet is the minutes from April the 1st, regular meeting. Are there any corrections or requested revisions to be made on these minutes? Mr. Tucker.
Properly reported that I wasn't here, so I probably should keep my mouth shut.
All right. Then the meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Expenditures. Are there any questions regarding any of the expenditures? I had some today, but I went to our accountant, which Debbie Prater, that does the bills and that, and I asked about them because there were so many of them. And I'm going to see what questions you had, and they're probably going to be the same as mine. Is there any questions from the board members on any of these?
You don't want to go first?
Pardon me?
You don't want to go first?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yours are answered already?
Yeah, I got my answers.
I guess on Cook's bill, the bond money seemed high to me, given the weather condition. Do you know any more detail on what that's about?
There were 2 different pump station projects. Let me pull it up here.
Which one is that, John?
Cook.
Oh,
It's,
Cook Excavating?
Yeah. It was like 90,
Yeah.
81 of it was for the bond money.
And you should have some bills in regards to that, because we were upgrading some stations.
Right.
Pumps went down and we had to replace.
Whitaker Road pump station upgrade was $60,000. That's one of our large stations.
Okay,
And then Chateau de Lac pump station 44 was another 20.
So,
okay. The big one was 60 of
Yeah.
that. Was, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know they'd be able to work on that in this weather, so.
yeah.
Yeah, The
this
problem
is
hasn't been
bad.
weather, it's been getting the materials.
Right, right. So they were out in the cold working on it, because
Yep.
it's just now warming up.
Well, if they're in the hole, they're in the warm area.
Yeah.
If they're out, they're cold. But it was bad. It was very bad. And those things have to be fixed now, especially pumps. One went out and then the other one went out. That could have been total disaster.
Then all the checks for the paving, was there a paving contract that got canceled, or what was that?
No, actually, it was, the last installment of the special assessment was a year ago,
Yeah.
and it was inadvertently rolled over again,
Oh,
so we had to give everybody
Okay.
their money back.
okay. Those are my questions.
I wondered, yeah. Yeah. Okay, is there any other questions? If not, a motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $506,670.93 for payment.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
I vote yes. Mathis?
Yes.
Kessler?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Gopal?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Lorraine is absent, motion passes.
All right, on your agenda, public hearings. This is a rezoning for R19-003, Lewis Van Lint, parcel 0610-300-014. This area is Laring Road, east of Jennings Road. R3 to PUD. This will be the first public hearing for this zoning ordinance amendment to rezone property on Laring Road from R3 to PUD. The Planning Commission has conducted a public hearing on the proposed rezoning, and they recommend approval. Mr. Treasurer Tucker, would you like to give us some details on this one?
Sure, Bonnie, thanks. First thing I want to say has anything to do with the application, but in the package, everybody received a couple of pages of the report
Yep.
that was given to the Planning Commission. Okay, there was probably, I don't know, I should probably count. There's a lot more information that was given to the Planning Commission with respect to this. As you all recall, Valerie just retired, and we hired a new zoning administrator. And what I'm saying is he's doing a spectacular job. The work that he puts into these reports and the preparations and material we're getting is just outstanding. I mean, he saves me a lot of time. He goes through a lot of the things that I did. What you're seeing is just a couple of pages of, I'm going to say it was a dozen pages. I don't know for sure what we got at the Planning Commission, but lots of useful information provided in an easily accessible format. With respect to this application, I believe, I looked at the notes Friday, or the minutes Friday, I think we had a unanimous recommendation for approval. The reason for that is this property sits in that new mixed-use, future land use map area that we put in with the new master plan. So to me, it was interesting, because I wanted to see what happened with that mixed-use area. That area contemplates a lot of different types of uses, and the intensity of some of that is pretty heavy. And I thought it was interesting that the first application that we have for approval in that area, honestly, this plan isn't a whole lot different than what you'd get with R3 open space. Okay? So that tells us a little something about the market, other than Moose has been trying to build a subdivision down Laring Road for 100 years. And I think he's finally getting closer to that. This is a relatively small development as residential developments go. There's a large parcel in the back that Moose said he was going to build this really big mansion on. And that's where you go, and he's going to pay your millages for the path, because he wants to do that. I think I heard him say that. So, but anyway, all kidding aside, the proposed use is very consistent with the future land use map. I've preached to you for years. That's the mantra here. You know, it's not a popularity contest. It's not whether you think it's a good idea or not. The question is it consistent with the master use, the future land use plan? And the answer to that question in this case is a resounding yes. And that's why you got a unanimous recommendation for approval. Now shut up now.
You're doing really good. Is there any other questions from the board? Is there any questions from the people in the audience? Or if you'd like to speak on this, you could. If not,
Who are you?
Ryan, are you coming for your fire report or?
No,
you want-
I want to speak on the issue.
Okay,
With that issue out there, they'll be installing a dry hydrant out there, which is going to,
Yeah.
number one, help the fire department, and it's going to help anybody with 1,000 foot of that dry hydrant. It's going to help them in their insurance rating. So upgrading that project out there and doing it with the waterfall pond they're going to have out in there, it's all going to be a bonus for people that move into it. So
Well, that's good
it's going
news.
to definitely help them on their insurance rating. So
good news.
that's the only comment I have.
Okay, thank you. All right. The next reading, the second reading, we're going to have a lapse of time. We have a 3-week span of time because of the holidays. The next meeting is going to be May 6th at 7:30 in regards to this amendment. Okay? All right, now, Chief Bowles, Fire Department, first quarterly report. Would you like to present the status of your fire department?
This is the first quarter report for Fenton and Tyrone Township. Overall, there was 150 runs. Of those 150 runs, there were 8 fires, 101 EMS, 9 hazardous conditions, 7 service calls, 18 good intention calls, and 7 false alarms. And of those 150, 10 of them were in Tyrone Township. We had 8 EMS calls, a good intent call, and a false alarm. And that was it for the first quarter, 2019.
Is there any questions from our board or the Fire and Safety Board?
Chief
Committee?
Bowles, what is if you could explain to me, what is a good intent call? What's the difference between that call? And
So the good intent call is, it's a Series 600. That usually falls with trees in the roadway, power lines down. There's a whole pull down on there. I could make a copy of it up and stick it in your mailbox so you have it.
Yeah,
I
that
think-
kind of gives
I
me an
don't-
idea of
Yeah.
where those lie.
We
Thank
did it
you.
at one time. I gave everybody the sheet that we use that defines everything. There used to be a key that explained everything what they were.
Okay.
Question, Chief.
Go ahead.
Summer's coming, so can you go over the rules for fires, campfires, bonfires?
Well,
Just for public info.
We've had a bunch of leaf fires, and I've gotten a bunch of phone calls on leaf fires from over the weekends from residents. So we just want everybody to know that you cannot burn leaves in Fenton Township. You can't burn plastics. You can't burn building materials. You can't burn garbage. You can, however, though, have a 3x3x3 fire for recreational use. The only problem with that is if the smoke's blowing into your neighbor's window, it's harmless by sight, sound, or smell. So we can go out and check it out. If it is, definitely going in their window, then we'll have to make a decision on whether to put it out or not. So that's just one of the deals with burning. A lot of people on the lakes burn. You can get out in the summertime, you can see fires all around the lakes. So we do, everyone says that we don't allow them, but we do allow burning, but it's only of cordwood, and prescribed wood for outdoor burning.
Thank you.
To the public, because we don't have the open burn like that, your trash pickup will pick up your leaves and your twigs, and then if you cut the branches down to, I think it's 3 feet, and bundle them.
And bundle them up.
But they need to be in a bag that the garbage company can see what it is.
And they need to be able to pick it up.
Open. Pardon me?
And they need to be able to pick it up as well.
Yes,
Because the refuge is a whole different than the truck with the arm on it that picks the garbage up.
yes.
So
yes.
there's actually, they have to get out and pick it up and throw it in the back of
Yeah,
the truck.
and they do pick it up the day that they pick up your garbage.
Yes.
So you can call the girls up here in the office, and they'll explain it to you what day. I don't know if it's the recycle or the garbage day. I think it's the recycle.
When does it start?
I think it started.
Has it?
Yard waste is April 1st through November 30th.
Yeah.
They pick that up every time they pick your garbage up though, don't they, Tom?
Yes,
Yeah.
every week.
So we really can get rid of it, yes.
I just have a question that's kind of come about, and I'm a great believer the cheapest is the best, but be frugal as far as the money that you have. I'm curious as to when there's a call that comes in to 911, how it's determined who's sent out. We had a situation, this happened several years ago, where a friend of my daughter's was injured jumping off of a pontoon boat. He broke his little finger and got caught into the front of the pontoon. And they called 911 for the boat. They came into our house. We had 2 sheriff's department deputies show up in 2 separate cars. We had 2 fire engines and an ambulance that showed up for that particular event. It seemed like it was a little bit overkill considering the situation. Is there, Chief, is there some protocol that's out there as far as when an emergency comes in, how many vehicles are actually sent to that emergency?
Well, because we don't have the stations, they're not split up. So we run in consecutive, we run with station, both the Owen Road station and the Bowl Street station. So they run together. Number 2 is we don't know how many people are going to show up at each station.
Yeah.
So a lot of it evolves around, how many people are showing up for the call. Now, as far as a person, with that doesn't sound like a tier 1 medical to me. Unless in somewhere in there was trouble breathing, or if they had a cardiac history background, whatever. So,
or it came over as a boat accident.
Yeah, or it came out as a boat accident, mechanism of injury, whatever. So it all, the biggest key factor in what we get dispatched to is what our citizens tell 911. And they have a pull down of questions they'll ask you. And when they ask you those questions, they determine what goes. Now, out here in Fenton Township, you're going to get a deputy. And if the swing car is out here, or it's during the daytime and we have our 2 cars, you're going to get 2 cars. During the daytime, you'll get more or less, you'll get the Chief Tahoe, you'll get both rescues or 2 engines. It just depends on what the call needs. So that there would have been a medical that they would have sent both squads out. And then, of course, you have the officers on the department that go direct as well. So
it seemed a little overkill considering the urgency of the medical situation.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, and that's one thing we're working on is we're looking at, is it going to help us out or is it going to hurt us if we only have 1 squad show up? So that's stuff we're working on, which I'll be presenting with the fire board here in the future, of things that we're working on. So, okay.
Is there anybody else in regards to that? Okay, Chief, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have one more thing.
Oh. Ma'am, is there something that we could help you with today?
No, I came to listen about the Larry Road because I set up right just east of the property that would be going, the drive that goes into that proposed subdivision. So
For Mustafa?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to give me your name and I'll have him call you?
You know what, it sounds to me pretty much like the proposal he tried about 10 years or so ago before things started going downhill as far as sales.
Yeah.
And so it sounds pretty much like the same type of proposed subdivision, and I'm okay with it. I just want to just get a little update to see if anything had changed.
It's actually quite a bit smaller than the one from 8-10 years ago. I was around when that one was coming through too. This is, what, 25? Is that what we said?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to say the other one was more in the 40s, something like that.
Yeah, and at the time, there was a concern about the fire department getting back there and hearing some of the things the chief just said about it also, was helpful. So that's what I basically came in for. So thank you.
Just so you know, there'll be a vote on that here, and then he's got to go back to Plan Commission again before you get into the nitty gritty.
Okay.
At least 2 stops.
And you'll be notified?
No, none of those she won't.
None of those?
Nope.
Okay.
No, she won't get any more notice, so if you want to track it, I'm going to give you the date in May when we're here, 4 or 5, whatever.
Yeah, May 6th.
6.
Yes.
And then the Planning Commission, you can just either check the website or you can call and ask for Mike Deem is his name. And he can tell you when those things will be on the agenda or if they're on the agenda.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, this will be installed in the foyer upstairs. This is the new container that will hold our AED.
An AED is defibrillator?
Yes.
Yep.
And it's protected by, if I can see it right, an alarm. Which when that's opened up, you know that somebody's taking it out, and it only goes on for so many minutes. But way it's accessible. If there's a wedding or something down here, all the instructions are on the unit. You see in all the municipalities, or majority of the municipalities, schools, churches, they all have them now.
Yeah.
So this has been in the back, locked up, or not locked up, but it's in the back in the closet, and it's never been accessible to really anybody but the staff there. And then I also told the fire committee we're gonna train some of the staff on how to function this.
When they rent, not all, but some will steal fire extinguishers and things like that. But I think this alarm.
Well, this will be right in view of the camera too by the front door and the foyer, the entry of the foyer, so
Perfect.
they aim right at it.
Then
We're
we got
thinking
it.
probably between the bathroom, the men's bathroom and the women's bathroom, that side over there.
Perfect. Couldn't do better than that.
I'm going to tell everybody an important story about this.
You are?
I am. I'll try and keep it brief. I play what I call old man basketball on Tuesday nights.
This is gonna be a good one.
And we had a guy go down,
See?
okay, and there was one of these present. And we were pulling it down and we were hooking him up. Now, if you were to read these instructions right now, you would think any third grader would be able to do these, okay? Turns out when somebody's laying on the ground, stress level's way up, okay? So we were trying to get this guy hooked up, and we had a guy that actually knew CPR and was giving him CPR. We've got 911 on the phone, which is your Boy Scout, Girl Scout training. And we can hear 911 saying, get the defibrillator going, and the guy that's giving the CPR is saying, we are not going to hit him, because when he was giving him compressions, he started breathing again. So we had an argument going, I can hear 911, I can whatever, okay? Here's what the point of what I'm trying to tell you. These machines know whether to hit them or not.
Yes.
They tell you what to do.
You don't push the button and it does, you know, it's not like flipping the switch to shock them and turn their hair fuzzy, because that gentleman I'm talking about got hit 8 times by that machine. Okay? I'm going to tell, well, I'm telling the story because it's important to know, but he could tell you the story himself today, because I think he was on the ground about 45 minutes, and they finally got some epinephrine into him, and they got a faint heartbeat. I went to the hospital. I didn't expect to see him there, to be honest with you. That device saved that man's life, and the point that I'm trying to make to everybody is you don't worry about it. Just get the thing hooked up. The machine knows. And I don't know if this one talks. A lot of them will talk to you and tell you, but it'll tell you to clear out because it's getting ready to. And when it shocks, it's just like taser on the TV. Everything and everybody's watching. So don't worry about it. Just get them hooked up.
Okay. That's good to know, John. All right, then. Any other questions in regards to the board members, in regards to the chief? The new the ordinance enforcement officer has given me his quarterly report. And during the first quarter, he's had blight and junk vehicles, with most popular topics are his job is blight and junk vehicles. Right now, we do have one that keeps going into the courts and then out of the courts and into the courts. Did it go into the courts this week? The one? No. Or it's going to next week?
I think it's next week.
And we have ticketed him many times. He's paid fines over 30 years. And our code enforcement officer goes out and takes pictures to make sure that the litter is there, because the judge is going to ask the code enforcement officer, is it still there? Is the blight and everything? And we show him the pictures, and he says, yes, Your Honor, and then another ticket. And I don't know from there, after a ticket, what is the fine about? How much?
Well, apart from the district court matter, there's a circuit court action that comes up next week. He was fined something in district court, but there's a circuit court action where the relief sought is to prevent the township to go in and clean up the property if it's not cleaned up. I went out there with his attorney and Mr. Shaw, and we all did a walk around and talked to that individual about things that need to be done. So next week we're going to go to court. I don't anticipate we're going to have a problem. Either it'll be cleaned up or we'll get an order to permit us to hire somebody to go clean it up after his taxes.
We have another one pending, starting to, is a gentleman lives in a nice area. The roof is just unbelievably, it's gone. And I did get with Christmas in July, those people that will come in and do the roof, pay for it, everything. Last winter, he signed all the papers and that. It was supposed to be done. No. It is very hard to get these orders going. And Jack is the gentleman that does that. You got that report just the other day from Rochelle. So we're working on that one. And that's really, really blight. We have taken a few of them and they did go to jail. The longest time, I think, was 10 days. Came back and has kept it pretty clean. But you don't want to do that. I actually felt bad to put, and it was a lady, to put her in jail, but I kept asking her and asking her and asking her. And I said, I'm doing it. And she didn't believe me. Well, she went. So when people see blight, the blight that you want to see is junk cars, no license plates, call it in. We have authority on that, because then we check the license plates. We have 2 neighbors that are just fighting for years over trusses in their front yard. Now, that's going to be you pretty soon, removing those huge trusses. I've never seen anything like it. It's so bad. But we are on it, and Pat Shaw is our code enforcement officer, and he is an ex-Genesee County Sheriff Deputy. Excuse me. So he does know his law. Some of the things that he was talking about, he didn't have too many of them, really. Here it is, how many, letters sent out, reports, inspections. He goes out on every one of these, and each one has a paper trail. And if we write them a letter and they don't respond, we go out, we document it with more pictures, and then Mr. Belcher gets a call and we start on it. Is there any questions in regards to this? Okay, animal cruelty, I know he didn't put that here, but we do the very same thing with animal cruelty. We do go out, we get with Genesee County, we work with them, and we do take the animals out of the house, or horses, or whatever. We do that. All right, the very next thing is communications, none. Adoption of ordinances, none. Unfinished business. Tom, I'm going to have you talk in regards to this. This is a proposed building inspector service agreement, STSA Construction LLC. We had the gentleman's name is Stuart Worthing. And Tom, do you want to tell what this consists of?
Sure. This is primarily the same agreement the board looked at the last meeting, but it was suggested that it be revised slightly to take into account the possibility he could have employees working for his company, even though that's not his current situation. But so we've added some language just to cover that in the situation if he does have employees working for him. The rest of the agreement is as it was presented before, no other changes.
And this states that he has liability and insurance and things like that? Okay, because Christine, you did this. Christine reviewed it and changed some of the wording?
Right, I just had a question
Okay.
and suggested that we add the language so he can have employees down the line if he so chooses.
Absolutely, yes. All right, a motion is in order to approve the building inspector's service agreement with STSA Construction LLC as presented. Do I have a second? No, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Reed,
Yes.
Gopal.
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Lorraine is absent. I vote yes. Mathis,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right. This one here is new business. Tom, I've got different resolutions. Do you want me to read them all? Or do you want to take them separately?
Well, it's kind of one project with 3 pieces to it.
Okay.
It's really, if you just want to call it the North Shore Special Assessment Project, we can go from there.
Okay. And that's what, you want me to have him read that resolution?
Well,
We've got 3 of them.
well, there's 3 different options. If you'd like, I can kind of go through it step by
Okay,
step.
go ahead, please.
To that spot in here. Okay, what we've got are 3 different action items relative to the North Shore Drive Improvement Special Assessment District. Back in the fall, the board confirmed a special assessment resolution for the project with the first installment due on December 1st of 2018. Subsequent to that, the contractor was unable to commit to the required completion date, and so the project had to be delayed, which also required the project to be rebid. And results of the rebid are included in the packet. Craft Engineering did the bidding. So based on the low bid, the assessment amounts will be the same as what was approved in the previous assessment roll. So all we need to do is basically adopt a resolution to reconfirm the roll with the new roll number and the new due date for the first installment, but the dollar amounts don't change. For that reason, public hearing was not required. So what we have are 3 pieces. One is a resolution to confirm the roll. Second is an agreement with the road commission, because this is being done under a permit from the road commission rather than through the road commission. And then lastly, awarding the construction contract to the low bidder, which was Eastern Asphalt Company.
And we make that decision.
Yes, it's the board's decision on the special assessment. And so
Okay.
we've got them in order, because the roll has to be confirmed before we can do the contract with the county and award the contract to the construction company.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go with resolution number 2019-07. Clerk Crew, would you please read the resolution?
Yes, thank you. 2019-7 confirms special assessment roll for number 2019-01 for the North Shore Drive Improvement Special Assessment District. It establishes a due and payable date of December 1st for the period of 10 years, pardon me, beginning 2019. Provides the option to pay off the assessment in full, which would avoid future interest costs. Establishes a penalty of 1% per month for late payments. Directs the treasurer to collect the collect the special assessment, and this also repeals any conflicting resolutions. I'll move the resolution.
Do I have a second? A second? So moved. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mathis.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
I vote yes. Gopal.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine is absent. Reed.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, motion to approve the North Shore Drive agreement with Genesee County Road Commission as presented. Clerk Crew, would you read? No, I just need the
Nope.
motion. You make
Just
the
made the
motion.
motion.
You going to make it?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
I vote yes. Mathis.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Gopal.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine is absent. Motion passes.
Okay. The next one is motion to award the construction contract for North Shore Drive Improvement Project to Eastern Asphalt Incorporated as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any further discussion?
Is this the contractor that the residents selected, irrespective of whether it's the low bid?
Well, they did not select.
I don't.
They Craft Engineering bid the project out,
Okay.
and Eastern was the low bidder, and Craft is recommending.
Kraft recommended them?
They're recommending the contract be awarded to them.
Do we know what the residents' position is?
The residents I talked to they were fine going with low bid because it fit within the numbers.
Yeah.
I would expect that to be the case. but
Yeah.
Sometimes these things surprise me.
All right. On this motion, I need a roll call, Mr. Crew.
Yep, got you covered. Do we have the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Reed.
Yes.
Gopal.
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Kessler,
Yes.
Rain is absent, Mathis.
Yes.
I vote yes, motion passes.
Okay, resolution number 2019-08. This is a request to accept water system ownership and maintenance responsibility from Byram Ridge subdivision. Byram Ridge runs right there off Linden Road and right by the soccer fields. And Tom Broker, you can explain, but this is something that we can say no to, and normally we always do, because we do not want the ownership of a water system. Okay. Any board discussion?
I would like to give a little explanation,
Okay.
if I could. What you'll see in the packet is a letter from the DEQ to the Byram Ridge Homeowners Association, and it's part of an overall process to bring their water system into compliance. They've got a few compliance issues they're working on, not health and safety issues, more technical and paperwork issues. And one of the things that was discovered, that they had never completed the required step of offering the system to the local unit of government. We've seen that in the past. When a new type 1 well system comes in, they have to offer it to us to own and maintain it. Or if it changes hands, changes ownership, like we had with the mobile home communities last year. And the township's past practice has been to decline such offers since we do not currently own or maintain any water systems. I would recommend that we continue that practice in this case. The association is perfectly willing and able and prepared to continue operating the system under a permit with the DEQ. It is a formality type step that the DEQ requires.
We just had one not too long ago that asked for us to take over their water
This is
system.
the mobile home community.
The mobile home community, yeah. And we said no. All right, so resolution, any more board discussion in regards to it? Resolution number 2019-08. Clerk Crew, would you please present the resolution?
Why not?
Why not?
2018-8, it declines the acceptance of ownership and administrative responsibilities for the drinking water supply system for the Byram Ridge subdivision and endorses the application of the Byram Ridge Homeowners Association to continue these responsibilities under a state permit. I will move the resolution.
Support?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kessler.
Yes.
I vote yes. Reed.
Yes.
Lorraine is absent. Mathis.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
All right, we have the last resolution, which is resolution number 2019-09. This is option to make township board positions nonpartisan. You have the letter in your packet. Tom Broker could explain if you have any questions in regards to it.
Just in quick summary, the MTA, apparently they are anticipating legislation to be introduced to give townships the option of making their board positions nonpartisan. It wouldn't be a requirement, but an option. And the Board of Directors of the Michigan Townships Association has asked local townships for their opinion. You know, do you support it? Do you oppose it? Do you not care? And they've asked the boards to formalize those positions by adopting a resolution of support or opposition. They also included in the packet a list of pros and cons to that concept. And the board is not required to adopt a resolution, but MTA has made the request, so it is being presented.
Okay. Any board discussion in regards to that? Mr. Gopal already asked me.
My thoughts are, talking with Mr. Broker and Attorney Belzer, that this would not reduce any amount of election turnout as far as the primary, nonpartisan. You would think maybe one election would do it, since it's all on the same ballot. I see no cost savings for this. I just see another level of bureaucracy that is just more paperwork than we've already have. I don't think the process is broke at the moment. And for that reason alone, I am opposed to this, just because I don't see an issue with this maybe coming down the road. But it's just, you know, it's not for any major, it is for township and city and villages. It's not for the Senate, House, or president. So I just see it's another layer of paperwork that this government does not need.
I don't usually disagree with Mr. Gopel, but I would disagree with him on this one. I am just simply not a big fan of party politics. I don't think the issues that are raised at the party level translate well down to the local level. We're dealing with much more grassroots kinds of things. And to be quite honest with you, partisan politics over the last 2.5 years, or pick your number, however they want to be, haven't been helping people get along with each other.
No.
So, you know, to me, to have the option to do it, I would be in favor of having the option, because I don't like party politics, and that's going to come back and bite me, I know, for opening my mouth. But I just don't. I don't think it's helpful, and particularly at our level, I don't think it's helpful.
I agree with you, but as far as our level, I don't, where's the partisan politics at township level?
Well, there isn't. I mean, that's what we're dealing with. But
That's why I don't think it's broke here.
No.
no, I would agree with
that's just
that.
my thought.
I think people ought to be elected to the township board based on their qualifications, not their party affiliation. I don't think that's going to change anything down here much.
I don't
It
either.
won't in this
That's
one,
why I
in this
just think
area,
it's
no.
more.
You know, maybe not, but I
respect
I
your
honestly
opinion.
didn't like to have to choose. I mean, I think of myself as an independent. All of my proclivities, everything lean Republican, but I'm not beholden
You
to
don't toe
that.
the party line.
So I don't like to
for the
have
sake
to
of
say
it.
I'm this or I'm that, because I'm not any of that. I'm some of it. I try and use my brain. So,
Well, it's interesting too, because I don't think there's much meat to this resolution. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but it basically is asking our opinion as
Right.
to, in the future, do we want the option?
You're right,
So
you're right.
there's not,
well, that's the
It's not very
legislation.
sticky.
I mean, all we're doing is advising the MTA so they can take a position on legislation
Right.
that would give us an option.
Right.
So, yeah, and it's a long ways down the road before it would ever come to fruition. But the concept, I don't think it's a necessary requirement to have a party affiliation to get a good township board, personally.
Well, I think we should do this right after Nancy and Donald have lunch together.
That's a good idea.
I would not want to know what they're
All
serving.
right, so we've already done this one, let's see.
Well, what are we gonna do, though? We gotta do something.
I don't care. I just express my opinion. I mean,
Well, but that's why, we all have different opinions. I mean,
And it just, if
And we don't have to express it.
If we support it, I'll vote yes. If we don't, I'll vote yes. I mean,
Well, it sounds like there's mixed opinions. I mean,
Uh-huh.
It's an opinion. I mean, this is so, like she said, there's no, this
no meat in
is
it.
so,
yeah, it's not
Nothing.
really committing
Yeah.
us to anything.
no.
Yeah,
so are we gonna report anything to the MTA that we just had split opinions on the issue?
that'd probably be the wisest. I know, I don't agree with you, I'll agree with Mr. Gopal.
That's smart, usually.
But I feel strongly on the partisan.
Yeah.
I am,
You're a party girl?
yeah.
I've known that about you, Bonnie.
So,
So we're not gonna do the resolution. That's fine. I
Well,
just,
it's we don't have
Or
to.
We don't
well,
have
or we
to.
can report that we're split. I mean, we can tell them we've got diverse opinions on it. I mean, or just ignore it.
or just let it be.
I would ignore it just because if we report
I
it,
do.
that's more paperwork.
Then we're on their
They
list
gotta-
again.
It's another page they gotta turn where it's kind of moot to me.
Well, it doesn't sound like we're gonna add anything one way or the other in terms of their opinion on it. We're kind of mixed bag of opinions on it anyway.
All right. So we're not doing any resolution. Board comments. Are there any comments from the members of the board?
One thing I wanted to point out, we're not doing any action on it, but I gave everyone a copy of a media release from the Road Commission. As of today,
Oh, yes.
Ray Road between Linden and Sharp Road is closed due to a culvert failure. I believe it's the one that it's part of the Kimball Drain. It was actually already on our project list to do later this year, but it's going to probably happen a lot sooner. We're expecting some numbers from the county regarding cost. They've indicated that they will be covering 75% of the cost. Mundy and Fenton Township will split the remaining 25%. So it should fall within what we'd already planned for the year, but we don't have any firm numbers at this time.
So are they covering more because it's broken? Are we
I
saving
think-
money because of this?
I'm not quite sure if the fact that it's an
That's true,
emergency
because it was
brings them in more.
It broke, it was old.
Oh, here, you can have mine.
Has the fire department got a report
does
from
now.
the road? They did, okay. Tom, you just got it today?
We got it today, yeah. And they were going to give me some preliminary numbers, but they never showed up. So we'll, as soon as we have something, we'll bring it back to the board for approval.
Okay, okay. All right, so I'm gonna, I want to go into closed session. This is pending litigation.
Before we do that, we want to address this discipline matter.
You want to do that one next? It's fine with me, however you want to do it.
Well, if we close session, and then they're gonna have to stick around and wait, and don't know how long we're gonna be closed.
Fine with me.
Each closed session has to have its own purpose, so you actually have to do one, come out of it, and then go into another.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, this, right
They
now,
haven't
we're gonna
said
ask
yet
them
if
if
they
they
want.
would like closed session, correct?
Right, they
All
may
right.
want or
Yeah.
may not.
So let's go ahead.
All right.
Forget what I said. We have, is it two gentlemen, two people who want to speak in regard to the fire department?
Okay, but it's one person at a time.
Oh, no,
so-
I know that.
Yeah.
But we don't know if they want a closed session.
All right, so we should just, Ryan, pick one and tell us one of the two individuals, and we can ask if they want to have a closed session.
You guys want to close session?
Give,
No, no,
give a name, Ryan,
individually.
chief,
Give a name.
give a name of one of them.
Chief, we need a name.
Okay,
We're making this.
We can't hear you now.
Wait,
he's okay with open.
Open? You're both
well,
off.
okay. Well, the minutes here, the record should reflect their names.
Okay.
So Chief Bowles, you'll have to name them. Pardon me?
Captain Stevens can make the decision.
Okay, Captain Stevens, so would you like a closed session or not? It's your call.
Open's fine.
Open.
Okay. All right, well then, let's do that. So the chief should tell us what he has there by way of a discipline matter.
Did you send these out to them, Tom? Do they have the copies of these?
No,
board members?
The board does not.
Okay.
I-
What we have is through the SOGs, SOPs that we approved back in January 7th, was our new operating guidelines for the fire department. And in those operating guidelines, it covers your percentage of availability to the fire department. And we had 3 individuals go past,
One at a time.
I know, I'm just saying we had 3 individuals. Of those 3 individuals, 2 of them are here. So we have Kirk Stevens, he missed his percentage February, he made 11 of 50 alarms, and in March, he made 9 of 58 alarms.
9 of how many?
58.
50.
So February he had 22%, which he's supposed to carry a 30%, and in March, he had 16%, which he's supposed to carry a 30%.
These percents are in the SOGs.
They are in the SOGs.
Okay.
Now, the other firefighter that's here is Michael Johns.
No, one at a
Oh.
time.
Do one.
Just one at a time.
One at a time?
You also advise the board that this is a second level of discipline?
Yes, their first they have a verbal warning, which is all documented when they were talked to.
Which was when? When was that, chief?
Let's see here. Kirk Stevens was talked to on 3/12/2019 after a stove fire in Linden, and it was discussed that he needs to get his percentage up. He missed the month of February. Mike John, okay.
No, okay, one at a time.
Right,
So the verbal is on 3/12.
correct.
Okay.
After alarm 19119.
What about the second step that we're on?
That second step that we're on now is the written letter that they had put in their mailbox at the station, and they were mailed.
When was that?
That was mailed out on April the 8th.
Does that letter cover both the February and the March deficiencies?
No, the letter only covers March.
No, the letter includes,
It includes the February,
Okay.
yeah, it's.
but it also, it includes, it's the written warning, which also goes in their file.
And that's what's before the board here, is this written reprimand.
Okay, got it. So now what, Mr.
So
Meltzer?
we should hear from, if Captain Stevens wants to address the board or say anything.
You want to address the board? About that?
Yes,
Yeah, you want me to go over there?
Yes, please.
please.
Can you guys hear me today? All right. I know you couldn't hear me last time, so. Yes, we got the new SOPs. Ryan also knows I work for the city of Fenton. So when it snows, I'm at work. We have high winds, we get down trees, I'm at work. We have sewer runs, that give me an excuse to hear, but no, I still have to pay for my family. You know, this is a paid on-call fire department. I make all the calls I can make. I don't know what my percentage is because I don't keep track of how many calls I get because it doesn't show up on my pay stub. Going back to the day that he said I got a verbal, which I did not receive, which would have been March 12th, we had gotten a fire call to a kitchen fire. I responded to the call, arrived. Ryan Chief has said something to me, and I asked him if he could repeat it. He did not repeat it. Went on a few minutes later, he turned around yelling at me. A county deputy heard it, and he said he told me once, I told you twice, I'm not going to tell you again. You can leave. And I tried telling him I was already on location when he canceled everybody. In the past, I didn't know the rules had changed. Okay, so I apologize. I'm sorry. But in the past, if you're on location and you say you can handle manpower on scene, the people on scene stay. Well, I didn't hear him. I am hearing impaired. The fan was running. Well, after that, the county deputy came out and talked to me and said that was very unprofessional. I was like, okay, well, you know, because obviously he's mad at you. I don't believe I've done anything wrong besides what I had reported. I had come back to the station. Chief came back to the station, and he was basically briefing on when he says he can handle with 24, I can clearly leave the scene. Well, in the past, you have to be excused to leave the scene. So if I want to leave, I have to have the IC's permission to leave. I take it Chief was IC. You know, if I would have left, would I would have been written up for that? I don't know. It's been a very hostile year on the fire department. I love helping people. I really do. I mean, I can't explain it enough. But anyways, I had taped what he said to me because I figured he was going to come back and yell at me for not responding or not leaving when I was supposed to leave because I didn't know I was supposed to leave. He never said that it was avoidable. He talked about I have to use I'm responding. I had told him why I don't use it because I had gotten a new phone. It's a business phone. I was outvoted 3-1 to download the app. So, you know, I try to use the call number when I can, but I'm not, if I'm driving, I'm not going to stop and make a call. I'm going to respond. I have a radio. They know I'm going en route. And for the beginning of March, I was gone from the 2nd through the 9th because I was on vacation. I went to Florida. Anybody on my Facebook page can look it up. But anyways, at the end of the month, we got a text message saying that we could turn that in and get an excuse. Well, in the past, we've never been able to get an excuse. So I was like, why bother turning in the 9 days I was gone, or some 8 days I was gone, when it's not going to get subtracted anyways. So as far as I'm concerned, I never got a verbal, but I got the written. And if he did say it to me, I don't know. But I didn't hear it back on the phone when I taped it. So I apologize. I hate coming to you guys all the time. I just wish he could get past this and move forward. I mean, it's been a year. He's talked to me 9 times. I'm a station captain. He should be able to talk to me. But he doesn't talk to me. All he does is yell at me. Ryan, I have nothing against you. But please, treat me like a human being, will you? Thank you. Anybody got questions for me?
Captain, what do you see as far as your ability to respond going forward? The things you talked about were weather related. Do you think you're going to be able to make the 30% going forward or not?
Yes, I have been able to make it, but we short a couple people. One got hurt. Someone else got switched to a different program. So it's been a little bit more harder on me. You get a dusting, I'm insulting. I mean, so it doesn't take much. It takes 4 hours to do the majors in the town.
I get that. We're into April now, and it should snow this morning. I say that, but sometime soon that should stop. Or
Right.
You think your percentages are going to be going up?
Yes.
Because of the weather.
What's that?
Because of the weather, do you think you'll be able to?
My percentage should go up.
Do you think you'll be able to make
Yes.
the 30%?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? All right, thank you for your time.
All right, don't you tell me the next step in regards to this, what we're supposed to do.
We have to, this is a recommendation of the chief for the written reprimand of the employee, which will go in his file. So you'd have to decide, is this the appropriate thing you want to do? If the chief has something else to address in that regard, hear from him. Then the board should make some decision. Do you want to put this in the file, or what do you want to do relative to that? It could be anything from saying no discipline in his file to another verbal to, that's all you can do. I don't think there's anything else. Either nothing, the written, or another verbal. I think those are only 3 possible options.
And then how many verbals can you get before you?
Only one.
Well, under the rules, there's just the 1 verbal and then a written reprimand. And so, I mean, I can formulate some of the issues you need to address, but everybody's heard them all.
Mm-hmm.
But the SOPs also state that it can change anytime.
Hold on, Kristen.
So,
I guess my thing is, when we do verbals, which, where I worked, we also did the same thing, they were written only for documentation that it was a verbal, and the employee signed it. Do we have them do that?
No, because it's a verbal.
You're right, but we're signing that we're documenting that they were made aware that they were getting a verbal. When I got reprimanded at the sheriff's department, the verbal was still written in form of Deputy Gopal received a verbal warning for da-da-da-da on this date.
Right.
And it's still a verbal, but it is a written documentation that a verbal.
But
it only counts as a verbal.
Is it written on there what the issue was?
Yeah, I mean, it's a written verbal, meaning you can't verbally document something if you're just verbalizing it.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So what we're doing, we need documentation, written documentation. Now, in the file, it's written that it's only a verbal for disciplinary purposes for accessibility. it's only a verbal, but it's written, documented, and signed that they receive. And if they refuse, you can write, refuse to sign. You know, it's like a ticket, you know.
So then we'll have to revise that in the SOPs then.
I would certainly do that I mean, that way it's pretty cut and dry. I
Right.
mean, they don't have to sign it, but I mean, we're gonna tell them, you're receiving a verbal for this. And you know, if they want to sign it, if they don't, it's a professional organization. And
Right.
I sign my disciplines, that's what I did.
Well, I guess what I need to know is where to draw the line at, because we also have one individual in the department that works 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Mhm.
So,
Well, you're the chief.
I mean,
we need to,
are
is this, I get it, but I mean, the SOGs are the SOGs.
Right.
I mean, that's, you know, everybody's complaining, we need SOGs. Well, we got SOGs. So, and I know it's a dynamic process. I know they're fairly new. It's a living document. You know, things can be amended and updated all the time. So, I mean, as chief, I mean, we look to your recommendation. I mean, what's in the best interest of the township as a whole?
right.
Is this going to be a benefit or a burden to the township? And I'm telling you, every
Well,
single decision, you got to look at it that way.
And that's the thing, if you want to call it a burden or not, I mean, the percentages tell you pretty much what it is. I mean,
and he also mentioned that he should be able to make the percentages from now on.
right.
But I guess, do we know when he was aware of the verbal?
12th.
Okay.
May I ask a question? From my understanding, the verbal was given at a site that there was a
Back at the
fire.
station. It was back at Bowl Street.
Pardon me?
It was back at the Bowl Street station.
Oh, it was at the station, okay.
Chad, does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, it makes
I mean, we
perfect
need
sense.
documentation that they received the verbal.
Correct.
Now, if they don't sign it,
They just note on it,
they refuse to sign it, but, you know, that way we know that a verbal discussion did go there. I mean, and that way, you know, we know exactly when it was, and, you know, I mean, that's what this, I mean, you know it.
I know.
Everything gets documented.
Yep.
Even the verbals get documented as
Everything.
written, that it's a verbal. Okay, it's not a written.
Would it make it more clear or more confusing if we changed the terminology from verbal and written to level 1 and level 2, so you don't run into that kind of confusion? I don't know if that's...
care.
So a level 1 written and a level 2 written. I actually like that a lot better.
Level 1 verbal.
Well, level,
Or
but you're
whatever,
gonna be
yeah,
written.
But what it's going to contain...
It's progressive discipline, okay?
Right.
And this is, you know, you get this strike, you get this strike.
Right.
How many strikes are you getting? I don't care.
Right.
But my point is, like, I'm cool with what John's saying, but, you know, we just need, you know, that way, well, here it is, right here. This is when they got it, and this is what it says, and this is what they're getting verbalized for.
Okay.
And see, Ryan, I mean, this was just presented to us today, so we're learning too, as far as, and that's what the board is trying to talk about right now, if you want to do the level 1 and 2. Then this goes in a folder,
Yes.
and then at the end of the month, you review it again. Percentage-wise, is that
Yes.
what happens?
What I have is a running tally that I keep on my desktop.
Okay.
Is that accessible to staff?
Oh, yeah, I've got it right here.
No, I mean, do they have the ability to look at it, so if they want to check their...
Yes, usually I post them at the station, but now it's going to be available on request if they come to the office.
Okay, okay. Any other questions, anyone?
I just had a comment. It sounds to me like there are some new standards that have been put in place, and I wasn't on the board at the time that they were put in place, but everybody has to play by the rules and sort of play nice in the sandbox. Captain Stevens, you mentioned that you had an opportunity to turn in those days, you know, to sort of be credited, which would have changed your percentage. Now, I don't think it would have changed it enough to bring you up to the 30%, but it obviously would have changed your percentage for the month. And I think everybody has to play nice in the sandbox. If you have the opportunity to live by these new rules and everybody's living under the context of the rules, that people should follow the guidelines included. And it needs to come, you know, from the top down and from the bottom up. Everybody needs to participate.
Yeah, which is true. All right, so
Jack, are you good, or do you need more
we need to have his
elaboration?
recommendation.
No, I just think the board needs to make some decision what they want to do. I mean, you have the chief's recommendation, and these are never easy decisions.
I don't want to usurp the chief's authority. However, I mean, the numbers are what they are. I mean, retroactive it now, I don't care. I mean, if we're missing percentages, it's on paper. I mean, you either missed it or you didn't. If you didn't, here's your notification. So I don't want to undermine his authority. He is our chief. You know, he's got a job to do, and we're holding him to it. However, from now on, I think that's the route we need to go. Is you're doing better at documenting, but you know, we still need to. I mean, we have to document everything, and we have to make sure that the document isn't vague and is pretty clear cut as to what's going on.
Correct.
Whether we retroactively, you missed this month, you missed this month. I mean, we know that they know there's a verbal now, you know.
Well, also, we didn't start with January because they didn't get, because we just started at January the 7th, so we gave them that whole month.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
what's that month?
What is the progressive discipline? Is it 3 months? Is it, I mean, do you have a 3 months of missed percentage and that's it? Or do you have a idea in mind that you're going to be, has to be uniform?
Well, the way the policy reads, it's if you miss a month, it's for, say you missed a month in February, it's until February next year. Okay, so it's in a 12-month period. So
after that,
after that 12-month period's up and you don't miss any more calls, your slate's clean.
So then it goes back to a verbal again on the first offenders.
Coming back around again. Okay. Now, if you get 2 in that 12-month period, you get the written. If you get 3 is termination.
Okay.
So that's
3 months
the order it goes in.
year not excused is it?
Yes.
Or a rolling year.
In a 12-month period.
Any 12-month.
Any 12-month period.
Okay.
So rolling.
Okay. All right. SOGs are what they are.
Yes.
So it's a board decision about what we're going to do?
Yeah, really, yeah.
Compared to a fire chief? I would think this would be a fire chief decision,
I
but...
do too.
Well, but they're township employees.
Yeah.
So you can, mostly it's really the fire chief decision, but the board, it's a due process issue. And for sure, if it were termination, 100% it's a board decision. The board could just take no action and the written reprimand or reprimand, I guess, it stands. If you don't do anything else, then that just stands.
And then it dissolves itself at the end of the year.
Well, in
If you keep a
12
good
months,
record in
yeah,
12 months, yeah. Okay. Well, you said.
Let's make it easy. I'll make a motion that the board follow the current SOGs as written in regards to progressive discipline in regards to Captain Stevens. Also, that the SOGs be revised to reflect, we have warning 1 and warning 2, with warning 1 replacing the verbal warning.
Replacing it? Or
Yeah, just renaming, they're renaming them.
Okay,
Renaming,
Just trying to
whatever.
avoid
I got it.
confusion
Okay,
about-
replacing, okay.
So can I ask a question? What does the first part of the motion mean? We're going to
Well,
follow the SOGs. What are you saying?
What I'm saying in the motion, that we just approved the SOGs. They're written that way. Those are the ones that are currently in effect. So if we support the SOGs, we need to act as they are reflected in the book.
Okay, well,
And-
I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't resolve the issue, because what Captain Stevens said is he didn't understand that he was getting a verbal warning. That's really the rub of it. I don't think, the chief has said, I gave him verbal warning. He acknowledges that something was said, but he has a hearing impairment. So there's a factual question about whether he got a verbal warning, and I don't know if it matters whether he understood it or, it's an interesting question.
Okay, so that being said, if...
I'm just trying to move it along.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I just want to understand what you're saying.
I don't have a copy in front of me. In the SOGs, does it explain the discipline that the first month of missed percentage counts as a warning?
I don't know that it says that it counts as a warning, but the first step is a verbal warning.
After one missed month?
Yes.
At any, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
All right, that's, I mean, it is what it is.
It's a practical matter, since all those statistics are available, whether or not somebody understands the word or not, I guess you ought to know if you...
You don't have a, if you don't understand the ask.
Something's not right.
Okay.
It's the same one we did for the township handbook.
And what this is a sign-off sheet saying that the firefighters, the date they got the SOGs.
Yeah. Okay.
Which,
Yeah.
that Tom had me.
Now, I would suggest from now on, also have them sign that they, or do you have that?
I have that paper.
Okay.
It's the same one we signed as the township employee,
Awesome, okay.
from the employee handbook.
So John, what are you suggesting?
Well, I'm like everybody else. I don't want to step on Chief's toes. I mean, we charge him with running the department. But with what I'm heard, I would probably, if it was me, and it's not me running the thing, that's why, I don't know why it's a board decision. That's why I had that discussion. I didn't think I had to get to this level of management. But if it was me, the manager, I would probably direct the chief to have a written level 1 warning prepared and presented to Captain Stevens for signature and leave it at that at this point. That's just what I would do.
As a,
Sitting here today, yeah.
For today.
And then April's April and March is, or May is May, and we go forward from there. But I at least give him the benefit of the doubt that there was confusion about the verbal warning to start with. That's why that's the basis for my recommendation. You're all right. The math is easily ascertainable. But he did say he did not know, so that's, from a due process standpoint.
So, say he doesn't know today, fill out something, says, I am aware today that I have the verbal still stands.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm saying it should be a written verbal 1, that we're calling it now, and it should be in the file. But I wouldn't give him a written level 2 at this point if it was me. I understand the logic for it. I think it's perfectly logical. But everybody's trying to understand the rules of play. They're new, and I would give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't understand that he was being reprimanded, because that's what he told me.
So what if more verbals come down and everybody comes in and does the same thing here?
They're going to be written now, because you're going to make them, that's why the whole verbal thing is confusing. I think we need to get away from that. So there's going to be a written level 1.
Chief, are there only 3 people that have received any written or verbal in your report now?
Yes.
So no, okay. You know what I'm asking?
Actually, there's 4.
Okay. Does the 4th one know that they received a verbal?
Yes, it was done right in the station.
How old
My
are
point
they?
is, can he come down here next meeting and say, I didn't know I got a verbal?
No.
Why?
Because all these are done in front of, I got one in front of Captain Heiser, one in front of Lieutenant Swintek, and the other one in front
That's
of
fine,
Lieutenant
and I'm
Swintek.
awesome with that. Can you have them sign something that says,
Yeah.
okay, everything needs to be documented?
Okay.
And sign it.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, whenever we receive, I owned up to it, if I got it, sign it, here you go. You can also say, refuse to sign.
Mm-hmm.
Witnessed by,
Correct.
I'm good with that.
Everything is done with a witness.
Okay. So are
Once
you,
the board does something different, written reprimand stands. Right?
yes.
Unless the chief decides he wants to do something different, but here we are.
Well, I'll get with Tom when he's not so busy, and we'll go over everything again, and And it's just a matter of changing the first line item for,
Yeah, well, but right now, as we sit here, we have a written reprimand that was issued by you to a firefighter. So that stands unless there's something, somebody wants to do something different. They could be you individually, or they could be the board as an entity.
well, truthfully, I think the whole thing is a surprise of, I don't think they think anything was going to be done. So now that stuff's getting done, I think it's kind of shocking that their stuff's actually going to get done now. And it's being documented, and it's being turned in, and it's being put in their files. So that's where we're at now.
Okay.
So would you suggest doing something different other than a written reprimand now? Like whatever term we use, a level 1 or a written verbal or whatever? Or
I can look to the MTA and see what kind of references they have for it.
Well, he's
I think
asking though,
I think what we're asking is, right now, according to you, Stevens has a verbal and he has a written.
Correct.
So he's one step away from termination. Okay. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
And we're clarifying, is that where you want to keep this? Or do you want to give the, and my thoughts, I'm gonna, he's the chief, I'm gonna go by, I'm gonna support a chief and whoever that chief may be. You wanna keep it at that, or are we going to consider that he didn't know this was a verbal, so this is now down to a written one, which is in lieu of a verbal? Therefore, he has 2 more strikes. Is that where you're asking?
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
And that's a question of whether the chief wants to do that or if the board wants to do that. That's one of the options available.
I think the option that I would say is the chief is the chief. And what he has stated should stay. But we've never done this process before.
Well, all this stuff's new to us. I mean,
That's right.
we've never had a up-to-date
It's new to everybody.
SOP since I've been on the department, so
Yeah.
it's never been really followed correctly.
No. So we get this part corrected, and then we go on. And
Well, and that's the thing, I also said to Tom when we were in the office, I'm like, giving them a written warning or a verbal warning, it's like, what's going to come back out of it?
Well, it's a first step in progressive discipline.
Right, so I agree with, we'll back it off one, they all have a written verbal,
okay.
we'll make them all sign it. It's still going to reflect all their percentages for the whole year in there.
Absolutely.
That's okay, though.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the
Okay.
fact is the percentages is what it is.
I agree, and you either meet them or you don't.
Right.
And it's real, that's the beauty of this SOG.
Yes.
You either do it or you don't, and if you don't,
Correct.
what's the reason? If it's not good,
Right.
thank you for your service.
So, as
Good
far
with
as the
that,
question that Jack made, yes, I think we should reevaluate it. We'll turn it into a written verbal level 1. We'll have a spot where they sign it, and then it'll go in their jacket.
Good.
But the thing is, that'll always stay in their jacket. Now, if it comes back up the next year, and they go a year pattern, that way we can also track the verbal writtens, or track those. Because we'll see how many build up in their files.
But the verbal writtens are no longer, now they're level 1.
Level 1 and level 2,
Level
correct?
1.
I mean,
And they sign both levels.
they sign both levels.
And frankly, if they don't
And-
sign them, I think that kind of is problematic for a firefighter, or anybody.
Well, and we could probably do that too on the letter. We'll make a spot where I sign it, and then it'll be sent to them. They'll sign it and they'll have to bring it back.
No, I mean, face to face. If you're gonna
Face-to-face?
issue
Okay.
discipline, it's face to face. Have another
Does he need another witness?
officer in the room.
Yeah.
And that way you have a witness.
Everything will be witnessed, absolutely.
I would definitely do a witness.
Yep.
Protects both of you. Yes.
So, Chief, so that's your recommendation relative to Captain Stevens. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I kind of get the gist that that's what you're suggesting across the board for.
Well, if I'm going to do that with him, everyone else that comes up here and talks are going to be, well, how come he gets that and we don't get that?
Well, we're not there yet.
Right.
We're doing Captain Stevens and
Correct.
only Captain Stevens.
Yeah.
Correct.
But so, Are you suggesting we do continue on with the other individuals now, or what's your?
I mean, we can, to see what they have to say. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We need to take action, or are we just good
No,
now that
well,
we leave it
we're
at?
good.
We just leave it as it is.
I'm good with what he just
Yeah.
said, so if we don't have to do anything, I'm even better with that.
So you'll sleep better with his
Yes.
recommendation
Yes.
of backing off one?
Yes.
I would support that recommendation as well. I think it's a very reasonable recommendation on the part of the chief.
I do too.
Now, just one thing I'll add to that. When you guys get our quarterly reports, would you like a quarterly report on percentages?
No,
No?
I don't.
Why not?
Yeah,
That's
that
your
would be
job.
good, so we know.
I'm not
You can, I mean, I don't care, I just, that's,
I know, but
you're
I
chief
don't
for a
care.
reason.
I know.
We hired you to run it.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not here to babysit you.
I'll just, that'll be something I just express with the fire committee.
I agree with Mark. That'd be micromanagement.
Okay.
No,
I got
no
you.
micro. No, you're a big boy.
Okay.
That's
Blood yet,
what
Bob?
we hired you for.
Yes, Kurt.
Shut up, Bob.
Now you gotta talk a little bit louder. Oh, I didn't.
We just castrated the chief.
Why? Oh, I didn't think so. I tried to strip it.
Okay, girls.
Just the other thing about the percentages. I know in the past, there's been times where there's only been 28 calls between 4:30 at night. That's when I get out of work. I work 8 to 4:30. From 4:30 at night until 8 a.m. the next morning when I have to be back at work. So if something like that comes up, how am I supposed to make my percentage? I mean, I'm kind of screwed. I think I'd rather see a 40%, an increase in percentage, and say, well, you know, I'll be available from 4:30 to 6 in the morning, and raise the percentage. Because the calls are, like today we had, what, 2 calls, 3 calls? We have a lot of day calls while I'm at work. I can't leave work. So
Well,
maybe like
nobody
raise,
works. Nobody, everybody works, Kurt.
right.
Okay, so I mean, everybody else seems to be okay making the percentage of calls, it sounds like.
Well, not everybody. There's quite a few people that don't.
Sorry?
There's quite a few people that don't in the
They
past,
should voice
Not
their opinion
anymore.
to us.
No, I'm talking since these
That's
SOGs came.
ridiculous.
since just the beginning of this year.
Since the SOGs were signed. That's when that running clock starts.
Okay?
I mean, is that right?
I would agree, and unfortunately, you can't make special, hourly accommodations for everyone on the force.
That's everywhere. Everywhere, every department I know
Yes.
that has these uniform SOGs, you have to make a certain percentage of calls. I have to, I mean, everybody works.
So I'll be terminated if 2 months fall where majority of the calls are during the daytime. Because right now, majority of the calls are during the daytime. There's still quite a few at night. A couple of weekends ago, we had no calls. I was around all weekend. I mean, I'm not looking for excuses. That's why I'm saying maybe raise the percentage and do like a 6 in the morning and 6 at night. We got people that work second shift. We got people that work day shift. I mean, I'm just throwing options out there.
I understand, I'm gonna leave that to Chief. Chief's the one that has to ultimately, run the department. So, he's the chief.
I know.
He's the one that's gonna, he reports to us how the department's running, and, that's something you will take up with him, because I'm not gonna micromanage him and tell him, you need to allow this person to make a percentage of calls at this time, and this person to make a percentage of calls at this time. That's not what this board's for. That's why
Well, I was just trying to come up with a solution.
I understand that.
I mean,
but that's not.
we want to protect the township.
What I'm telling you is, though, you need to talk to chief about that.
Right.
I get it. It's a logical thing.
Right.
I mean, if you work and there's 1 call during the month and you didn't make it, well, you're at 0. I get that.
Well, if I was at 0, I expected to be fired.
Well, and everybody on the department that didn't make it would theoretically, I don't think that's where we're at, Kurt.
No.
Right.
Okay? But that's something, I mean, my God, I thought this was resolved, but you guys have to talk. And you're an adult, you have to act like it. all right? What
I've-
happened in the past.
I've
is
tried
done.
talking to him.
Okay, well, there's two sides to every
I'll
story,
try again.
okay? All right, I'm telling you, you're an adult, act like it, do what's in the best interest of the township as a whole, not what's in the best interest for you, or what's in the best interest for you.
That's true.
And I wish this was just a isolated thing at this township, but I've dealt with fire departments since 1990, and they all do this. Come on, people, put the township first, everybody.
And one other question. Why is mine the only office that has a camera?
Kurt, I think what Mr. Vokel just said, he is correct. Now, we gotta forget the past. After this was signed, that's the new date, and we're going to start working together. If people
I want to work together.
then they make a choice to do whatever they have to do themselves. But the boss is the chief. That's it.
But he won't talk to me.
And if you don't like it,
I don't know why your office is the only one, but honestly, if you got a camera, you shouldn't be doing anything that'll get you in trouble on camera anyway.
Well, I'm not, but it's just
Then don't
things.
worry about it.
you
I
don't
mean,
like the camera.
everywhere I work, there's cameras.
Right.
Everywhere, okay? I don't do anything that's gonna.
But why is only my office and nobody
I
else's
don't
office?
know. Nobody here on this board knows that.
Our whole building is cameras. This whole building.
three
I
on
can
us
tell
right
you
now.
what
Well, that's
our employees
fine.
are doing.
Well, I could see if there was a camera in
That's
everybody's
security
office,
reasons.
but it's just mine.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
If it's here, it's here. That's it.
You know, and I think many of these issues you need to discuss with the chief because he is the one that runs the department. And so like if you want to come up with some other idea about the 6 to 6, you know, shift things or whatever, or the cameras, those are all things to discuss with the chief. It's not really a board function, and as everybody keeps saying, the board doesn't want to run the fire department. They want to hire a chief.
That's right.
And have the chief run that department.
But what are you gonna do when they're all gone?
Contract with some, I mean.
What did you just
well,
say?
I mean,
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll deal with that when we get there. That's a weird question.
That is a weird question, because you know how long does it take you to get a certified firefighter?
No.
Well, you just don't get one off
I
the
mean,
street.
there's other places that don't have fire departments, they contract mutual aid.
You're right.
Contact mutual aid. Thank you.
So, chief, are we going to proceed with these other hearings then now? Are you,
We have one more this
It's yes or no.
tonight.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
are,
wanna see what
okay,
happens.
okay, then go up to the next one.
okay.
Second letter was given out to firefighter Mike Johns. In the month of February, Mike Johns made 3 out of 50 alarms, and in March, he made 6 out of 58 alarms. February would be 6% out of 20, and March would be 10% out of 20.
You said February 3 out of 56 was, or March was 6 out of 58?
Correct.
Verbal?
When was the verbal given?
That was 321. Alarm number 19138. And that was also in front of Lieutenant Mike Swintek.
Okay. And written?
That was a verbal.
When it was
Written was given the same as Captain Stevens. That was given on April 8th.
Now, should we have Mr. Johns come up?
Okay, so, Mr. Johns, are you interested in a closed session or you want to do an open session?
I have nothing to hide, I'd like to do this open.
Okay.
All right, start things out. My name is Mike Johns. I've been a firefighter with Fenton Township since 2010. I was hired by Chief Moulton. I have one question for you, Chief Voles. Where was my verbal warning given?
It was given in the radio room.
Perfect. So, this is direct retaliation against the lawsuit between Ryan and the victim over here. There's no other questions about this.
You didn't make your
It is my, if you will listen to me, this will all add up to you. You will understand it. This is direct retaliation.
Can
I
say
heard-
something, Mike?
We're not talking
We're
about
only,
retaliation.
Let him talk, let him talk.
well, in my mind, though,
That's okay, let him talk, you can talk about it.
okay,
Yeah, let him
I'm
talk.
talking percentages right now. I wish
He's
you
going to
would do that
explain
first.
that. That's what,
Okay.
Thank you. As I was stating before I was interrupted, this is direct retaliation, okay? My notes are a little scattered here. So, to go on with the direct retaliation, all of our fire trainings now, since this lawsuit, they're all at Station 2. We have had none of them at Station 1. The only time they're at Station 1 is when Station 1 does their training at Station 1, Station 2 does theirs at Station 2. The rest of them are all at Station 1, or Station 2, I'm sorry. As far as, you know, you said you wanted to keep things uniform. You stated that. It should be the same for everybody. Perfect. There's cameras. The stations all have cameras. I think the cameras are great. They're awesome. Let's keep it uniform. If we're going to have cameras in one officer's office, they should be in all of them. Here's another great thing about the cameras. This happened in the radio room, which has a camera and it's voice recorded. So Ryan can pull up that video of him giving me my verbal violation, verbal warning. He can pull it up so he can show us. The other really great thing about this call was a PI accident over on Owen Road. Mike Schwintek got cut and went to the hospital at the end of this call. When this call was over, I did not see Mike Schwintek. He was at the hospital. I didn't even see Chief. There was no verbal warning, but we have cameras. He can pull it up. As far as his word has it's got no value, and I can prove that to you as well. During the sexual harassment case, he told you, I'm speaking please, he told you that he did not say these things. He did not.
I want it to stop. I don't want to hear this bullshit. I don't
He
wanna
told
hear
you he did not ask Christie to come underneath the desk.
it. Enough is enough.
That's that. Now, how about the social media thing?
You know,
I move that we adjourn.
Enough's enough.
really. I mean,
This is
let's-
ridiculous.
Yeah, let's just address the matters that you're up here about meeting these percentages. Either you did or you didn't. I mean, this is not a complete, complaint about the fire chief and the fire department and everything else. This is a limited issue here.
I'm trying to show you what his word is.
No,
Okay?
that's not the issue. The singular issue is, he's the fire chief. There's nothing you're gonna say is gonna change that at this point.
That's fine. He is the fire chief.
Okay, but the point is this is a question, a hearing about a discipline.
This is a question of the verbal warning that he's stating he gave. There are 3 firefighters that are stating this verbal warning was never getting. Ryan is medically trained. In the medical field, we all know this. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen.
Well, okay,
So a verbal warning, where I work, a verbal warning is also a written warning. It is a written verbal warning, just like Mr. Gopel stated.
Okay, so specifically to the issue, is it your position that you were never given a verbal warning?
I was never given a verbal warning.
So on that date in March 21st, you didn't talk to the chief about the percentages?
No.
So my recommendation to the board is we just get the other individual that was present at the time, have him come back, and if that's the case, and quite honestly, the board were so offended by this misstatement, you could probably go even a little further than this written discipline, but if that's your position, then we ought to just stop this and let the chief come back with the other fellow that was there at the time.
Or the video.
Or the video.
Or the video.
It's all on video of the three of us together in the office.
Yeah. Either way, we're not going to be able to do either one of those things tonight.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation to the board.
Okay. So that's what we'll do then, Mike.
Well, do you dispute the numbers or not? I haven't.
No, I'm remodeling my house. The numbers are the numbers. I am remodeling my house. I'm actually staying in Swartz Creek. I'm having a hard time making calls right now. My house will be all done the end of this month, starting next month.
Do you think going forward you'll be able to make your numbers?
Absolutely.
Mr. Johns?
Yes.
And John, that question was a nice question, and I like that question. I was going to ask that too, but when did you receive, you signed for your SOCs, your SOGs, correct? Or are you disputing that too?
No, I signed for them. So you're calling them SOGs, which is what I would call them, Standard Operating Guidelines. But they're stated Standard Operating Procedures.
Okay.
So a procedure, it doesn't sway. I mean, you start your vehicle the same
I'm not
way.
going to discuss semantics as to what the title is. It's a guideline of what the rules and regulations are in the fire department.
Right,
Do you
I
agree
like
with that?
guideline.
Did you find anywhere in there that said, make this number of calls? This is what you're obligated to do.
20%.
Okay, and you've signed in for 3 out of 50 calls.
Correct.
So you're not disputing that?
No, there is one other thing that I am disputing on this. I have no way of knowing what my percentage is. It does not show up on our paycheck stubs. The only thing that shows up on my paycheck stub is the gross amount, taxes taken out,
Okay.
Okay.
and that's it. There's no hourly, there's no how many calls
what
I
you
made,
make an
there is no, what's that?
You know what you make an hour?
I have no clue.
Okay.
Oh.
No, it's not on my stub. It should be on my
I
stub.
mean, but you don't know how many calls you make and how much, divide it by the number of, what you made and divide it by the number of calls and maybe get a close ballpark as to what you make?
So I can write down and keep track myself as to how many calls I make.
No, I'm
But-
just saying, you signed for 3 and there's 50 calls, okay? So you know that that's not 20%.
Well, no, I understand that. No, what I'm telling you is this should be recorded on we should be able to look at our stubs and know what we made. Here's the other problem with this whole thing. If he gave me this verbal
That's
warning,
payroll. That's
That's not
Okay.
something that ought to be on a payroll check in any event. If it was, I'd tell you, don't do that, but that's not appropriate for a payroll check.
he gave me a verbal warning on March 21st, he states. April 8th, he gave me a written warning, 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
We get paid by the month. Am I able to correct something in 2.5 weeks' time? I mean, he told me at the end of March.
I see the numbers. I mean, I understand there's not 30 days between.
Yeah.
I got it.
I mean, there's no way I can make a correction on that in 2.5 weeks.
So in March, you're good with that, you made 6 calls, or you signed in for 6 of the calls out of 58?
In March.
I told you, I know I did not make my percentage. Okay, I'm remodeling my house. I'm not staying in my house. I'm staying in Swartz Creek. I cannot make calls from Swartz Creek to here. Okay, I mean, I can't get here in a reasonable amount of time. So many calls, if I'm there, I don't try. Fire trainings, there's an issue there. I work almost.
We're not discussing that at the moment.
Okay.
We're just discussing the discipline.
Perfect.
All right, so you signed for the book, okay, and then in February you were short, and in March you were short. Okay, now whether February's discipline was sent later, I mean, you still know during this month, I need to make this many calls. Whether you received a verbal one day and a written the next week, it's still addressing 2 months. I mean, February and March. I mean, you're 3 out of 50 for February, and you're complaining that you got the notification in the middle of March, but you know you didn't make February's runs.
I got the notification March 21st, the end of March.
Okay, so you're saying you did receive that?
No, I did not receive a notification.
so you're
According
saying-
to the letter that I received, I was notified March 21st. According to Ryan, I was notified March 21st at the end of a call in the radio room when Mike Schwintek was in the hospital.
You were notified, theoretically, you were notified March 21st, knowing that you made 3 out of 50 calls in February.
I was notified? No.
No, you were, the March 21st was reference your February call volume.
Okay.
Okay, and you're surprised that, you know, you're saying 3 weeks after the end of February, you received a verbal, that you didn't get the verbal.
The whole issue is I'm not getting the verbal. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Ryan's saying that he gave me a verbal, and I was trying to show with you that what he says has no value.
Okay, and this is why I'm saying the other two that received verbals, I'm half expecting them to come down here and say they didn't receive a verbal, because we don't have them documented. Okay? Chief, I mean, this is my point. I fully expect 2 more people to come down and say, I didn't get a verbal. So that's why we're gonna stop that.
I have one other thing. As far as, let's keep things uniform.
No.
Right now, we're Station 1 firefighters. Station 2, Tyler Smith, Craig Middleton, Mike Malinsky, Brett DeWeese. Are they making their percentage? Let's keep things uniform here. Are they making their
Sir,
percentage?
what does this have to do with your discipline?
We're keeping things uniform.
Right, what does this have to do with your discipline?
What this has to do, all I'm trying to show here is that
That's really not the purpose of this. That's not the purpose of this. This is your discipline hearing, and what we're gonna have to do is continue this at the next meeting when either we have the other individual or the video that everybody can look at, and then we'll know if you got your verbal or not.
sounds good. I may be working on that Monday, I'm not sure.
That's your choice. I mean, whatever, you know.
When I have to work is not my choice. I don't get to make up the schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Christine, did you want?
No, that
Okay,
hearing is done.
Okay.
I just want to hear Chief's recommendations for
Yes.
firefighter John.
Well, the numbers pretty much speak for themselves.
I think again, you know where this is, we didn't the argument is they didn't receive a verbal.
They didn't receive the verbal written, so.
So do you, the way
I mean,
see
that's,
it-
truthfully, I don't even know how that even got put on the SOG that way.
Okay, well. it
Because
is
especially after the last meeting we had speaking about how we should document everything, so.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of shocked.
I'm gonna move forward to, all of them will be, signing verbal written warnings,
All of them are moving to level 1?
level
The
ones.
4?
All four, actually, it was only 3.
Okay. You said there's a 4th verbal somewhere.
There is a 4th verbal. He's also, Bowl Street Station.
Okay, my suggestion there, not to tell you what to do, but if there's a verbal, maybe.
I'll take it. I will take it to him.
Re-verbalize it and
Yep.
say, sign this.
I'll have him.
And
He'll
this-
sign it.
Whether they sign it or not.
Yep.
Just.
He
I'm not throwing
he gave me a
anybody-
full
that
reason
way
why what
Everybody's
happened.
on the same page.
Yes.
No, you got this, this is what the rules say, you do these, you don't do this, you get this happen.
Yep.
Everybody knows that.
And he fully understood it. He was working out of town, he understood it,
Right, I
so.
don't care if you played golf with them in the morning.
Right.
The point is, we're documenting it because this happens when we don't. Okay?
So we'll make an amendment to page number 3.
It's a living document.
Correct.
It's, you know, we got it
Which will
out
be
there
simple to
because
do.
we know it was, we're gonna run into these things.
When
And,
you
you know,
do that, Ryan, I would request that you make a copy to each of the firefighters
We'll replace it.
and have them sign something they got that.
Well, we're gonna put a sign spot in the corner of them.
Okay,
That way it's been updated and then it's
Yeah,
signed.
and dated.
yeah, perfect.
sign everything.
And then the new ones will come out, they'll just be normal how that one, from here on forward with the new hires.
Yeah.
So,
All right, are we done, gentlemen?
We got one more agenda
We
item.
have one more closed
Oh,
session.
no, I know that.
Oh,
Yeah, we're done with this.
But I mean, we're done with
Yes.
fire chief.
Okay.
All right, now I can go into closed
Closed
session.
session.
Okay,
All right, guys, have a good night.
all right.
You've got a guy
Well, we
with
still
his
have to have
hands up.
public comment if we
Well,
I know.
well,
All
we
right,
have a
and there's
public
Mr. Johnson.
We'll have that when we come back out.
Yeah, right, so we're in closed session for right now, yeah.
We're going to go into closed session right now because we have to, pending litigation.
And specifically,
I can't hear.
it's the Hodkins versus the Township
Yeah,
case in circuit court.
ZBA matter.
so I need a motion to recess the open meeting. Yeah, I was going to do roll call.
I'll make the motion, we go in.
Okay, do I have a second? Any
Second.
further discussion? Roll call, please.
Tucker,
Yes.
Lorraine is absent, Gopal,
No. I just want to hear what he, I mean, quick.
Kessler.
I don't want to.
I'm going to get this thing through
Kessler,
fast.
Reed,
Yes.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ron? Mathis,
Yes,
I say yes, we are in closed session.
okay. It's not going to take very long.